Hello. Welcome back to Starcastic Remarks and welcome into the studios here online. I am Ryan Chambers. I am the host of Starcastic Remarks. We are the only fan-led Dallas Stars podcast, and we are brought to you by DraftKings. We thank them for sponsoring our podcast and also the entire Hockey Podcast Network. Here in just a short little while, we're going to be getting our Super Bowl picks here in a little bit because that seems to be a little bit more fun to talk about right now, Chris, than that game that we just witnessed. But nevertheless, we're going to talk about the game first, get that out of the way. And it was a really weird game after, us taking 2 games off and not doing after game reviews with the game against Nashville and the game against the Jets. This one just didn't seem right. I don't put some words in my mouth to help me understand this game.
It's a pretty bad opening act for the Super Bowl, I guess. But
that's a perfect one. Hopefully the halftime is a lot better than the Stars game, but we'll see.
Yeah, but either way, the Stars kind of sucked. I mean, they didn't show up, is what it was. I mean, they would have had 5 shots in every period if it wasn't for the 3 power plays we had in the second. And that was the game. The Avs dominated us. The Stars didn't show up. The end.
I really didn't think the Stars played all that bad for the most part.
Well, I mean, look at their shots. 5 in the first, 4 in the third. That's pretty bad.
That's pretty bad. And I admit
defensively, I'll agree with you. I mean, the first goal was pretty fluky. The second goal was a good, solid one. But other than that, defensively, we were decent. But there was just no, like you say, creativity in the offensive zone. It was dump it in, get it to the point, shoot it from the point, and that was it.
Right.
There was nothing going on other than the one play from Rope turning the corner. That's the only scoring chance I thought we even had.
Right. And just throughout the game tonight, I'm so used to it being night. It's in the middle of the afternoon. I'm so used to, watching this team and seeing at least a little bit more pushback, even in the games where we're getting kind of destroyed on. But that just seemed like a team that had been at home for too long, as Razor put it. And they just didn't have any energy in their legs left. And it seemed as the game went on, the first period was meh. It was okay, even though we were down 2-0. And it was like, yeah, we can still come back in this game. That second period, we had opportunities. We were, for the most part, we weren't like dominating the period, but we were controlling the puck, right?
Yeah, and that's due to the power plays. And I mean, we get the power play chances 3-1 in a game like that. That's our advantage. I mean, we have one of the best power plays. We have to score on one at least. And that's the only way we're going to beat good teams like this. So if you don't score on them, and they didn't even look good. I mean, there wasn't great chances in them at all.
No,
and the Avs aren't a great penalty kill team. They're in the bottom half. So there's really no reason for it.
And, obviously one of the biggest comments coming out of this game that I saw on Twitter before I jumped on here was, boy, do we miss Klingberg. And, with the whole talk around the NHL of, well, where's Klingberg going to go? Where is he going to get traded to? And that if we look like that and, Klingberg is really that big of a deal to the Dallas Stars, I'm really scared to see what this looks like, assuming that Jim Nill still wants to go for a playoff spot and we trade John Klingberg. Mm-hmm. I mean, if we were like, okay, fine, we're not making the playoffs, then whatever happens, happens.
Yeah, those two things are mutually exclusive, I think. So,
right, and that's also correct, but there's still that little bit of hope in me that we keep John Klingberg, but we'll see. And he was obviously missed today, especially with those 3 power plays. They just sucked.
And I definitely think that's a large part of it because, like they said in the broadcast, he has the most power play assists on the team. Also, every time he's not in our lineup, which he's had a couple of games throughout the season where he's just been out just because we've had illnesses and stuff, and he had a couple of games where he was injured. But those games, our power play was bad. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, it's a big deal. So that's what's going to tell you where this team is or what this team is doing at the trade deadline is what happens to Klingberg. So
2 other things I want to jump into before we jump into the goal summary for today was the biggest thing that bothered me more than anything was the transition game for the Stars today. And it was really obvious in all 3 periods. Us being able to get out of our own zone was not in existence today. It was throw the puck up the boards or, a loop over into the offensive zone or into the neutral zone or whatever, we were just having a really hard time getting out of our zone. And that just, I mean, especially when the Avalanche are on the road, that's the way they play their game. And that's how they won tonight, is because I keep saying tonight, this afternoon, because they just kept pressuring. All they had to do was pressure, and we would turn over the puck in our own zone. And it was getting really frustrating for me. Did you see any of that today?
Yeah, it was, and you're exactly right the way you put it too. It wasn't that we weren't just getting out of our zone, because we kind of were, but we were just like hacking it out and flipping it out, like you were saying, which is exactly true. There was no passing going on at all. Like, it was one D-man to the other D-man, and then it just trickles out somehow. And there was no, like, we didn't really have an odd man rush going the other way all night long because we couldn't pass. So, and that's just part of what happens when the Stars don't show up, is that they don't pass, they get rolled over on the opposing team's forecheck, and they don't get scoring chances. So it was a classic case of not caring, is what it felt like.
I think they're just tired. I think the two previous games kind of wiped them out. But at the same time, it's not like they didn't have a day in between to recover from each of those games. So I mean, I don't know what the issue was, but
I think it's 1 p.m. on a Sunday, and everyone wants to go watch the Super Bowl party.
That's what it was.
It's true from the refs on the last play too. I'm just gonna go ahead and say that right now. That's some garbage. Like, I know the game's over, we're not gonna win, but
that's a dangerous play.
Right, he's tripping our guy straight into the boards. It's a slew foot. Like, he didn't use a skate, but he slew footed him with a stick. It's ridiculous.
It must be something about Miro Heiskanen in like the last couple minutes of a game that he just doesn't deserve to get called.
It has something to do with the refs being lazy and being terrible at their jobs, is what it has to do with.
I think the refs were ready to go watch the Super Bowl as much as we were.
It was ridiculous.
And I'm just gonna say it for this game that the Stars were just tired. I didn't expect to win this game, but if we were going to win one out of the next two, which we really needed to win this game over the game on Tuesday. We're going to play the Avalanche again in Colorado. The one that we had more of a chance of winning was today, and that didn't happen. And that was the only frustrating thing. I mean, the Colorado Avalanche, give them full credit as well. We talked about the Stars and how they were really frustrating in today's game, but I mean, they came in and showed exactly why they're, arguably the Stanley Cup contenders right now, and they should win the Stanley Cup this year.
They're the best favorites, team. Yeah. But, and yet the Avs played good, but like the Stars were bad and they still hung in too, which gives me a little bit of hope. But I don't know. We got to win. We can't lose both of these to the Avalanche. We got to get at least a point out of the next game. So, and if this, and I meant to get into this after your point, but if this is the way the team is going to show up whenever there's jobs on the line right now, like Dallas is definitely teetering between buying and selling coming up on this trade deadline. If this is the way that these guys are going to play, then there's going to be a lot of selling, and there's going to be a lot of guys on different teams. So that's all I'm going to say about that.
I just don't know if they would really buy that much. You really think
what
they
are you talking about? John Klingberg, Joe Pavelski, who's having a great year despite his age?
I'm talking about the Stars buying.
Oh.
Yeah, I think it's either they sell or they stand pat. That's how it's going to be. I don't see Jim Nell going out and getting another player.
Well,
especially when this team
needs something if he wants to try and put it into the playoffs.
And
so if he does nothing, that's just going to make me even more mad than anything. I'd rather sell than do nothing.
Yeah. Well, what the only other thing I wanted to get into before we get into the goal summary is just the play of both the goaltenders today. Because in one aspect, I don't think that Kemper was all that tested today. So, I mean, he was there when he was needed to be, and he made saves when he needed to be. But the Stars didn't overly test him. The only kind of chances the Stars would get, or if you can even call them chances, was just shots from the outside, from the perimeter. Even on the power play, the Suter he was up at the top of the blue line, right in the middle of the slot, and he just shot one straight. There was no traffic, no nothing.
Shot into the chest.
And then I'm just like, that's what we're gonna see for the rest of the game. And I was right. That's all we saw in today's game. So Kemper was not overly tested, but the Stars didn't, get enough high quality scoring chances like they needed to.
And then on the flip side, Holtby is terrible.
Right, and I'll agree with you on that. And I almost put this on Twitter, but I held my my fingers back from typing this. But I almost thought about taking Holtby out of the game in the first period. And
Right.
it seems to work for other teams, right? Especially when the Stars, they have a big lead or something, and the other team switches the goaltender if it's like 3-1 or 3-0 or 4-1 in favor of the Stars, and then the other team turns around and wins the game. So I mean, you could see it from the first period that they were just dead, that they were not skating, and that was one of the things that Razor talked about before the game even started. Is that if you want to hang with this Colorado Avalanche team, you have to skate. You have to skate, and they didn't do that.
Yep.
And how did I get from Holtby to skating? I don't even remember. Anyways,
Trying to get some life into the team by
yes,
getting them
exactly.
out in
Okay,
the
yeah, there
first
you go.
period.
So I mean, would you have pulled Holtby in the first period and thrown Ottinger in there?
I mean, probably not, just because he's getting his first start back.
And that was the
But
only thing that kept me from typing that. I mean, this is his first game in a while.
yeah,
So
but I mean, he didn't so he didn't make a terrible mistake until the third goal. But I mean, on the first two goals, they were savable too, and he didn't make a big save all game, which I mean,
he had a couple of pretty good saves, but they weren't
I
like
wasn't paying attention.
But I mean, it wasn't like I don't know what you call it, like high quality saves or anything like that. But I don't know. He just did not have a good game tonight. So
Well, and that third
I
goal was the
fully
worst allowed goal we've
yes.
seen all season.
And I mean, and he knew that. He knew that. You could see his body language after that.
It doesn't matter if he knows it. It's terrible.
Well, so
that was a microcosm of the entire game. Just how lazy the whole team played. Just showed up in that moment. A wrist shot from literally the middle of the point. He saw it the entire way, and it just goes by.
Just missed it. Yeah,
that sums up the entire game.
I think lazy is probably the wrong word. I think tired really is it.
It's not tired. They had rest. If they're on a back-to-back, sure. They had multiple days.
I just don't think
a homestand is not tiring. It's the thing that people talk about during homestands that are difficult is it being distracting. So that's why sometimes during playoff series we saw I don't remember when it was. It was the year whenever we won the Western Conference, the regular season. They decided that they were going to stay in a hotel even when they were playing home games just to keep the same rhythm going. And so they do that. And the reason for that is so that you don't have the distractions of home and you're only focusing on hockey and the guys around you. But tiredness is not one of them. You don't get tired just from being at home. So I don't buy that at all.
Well, here's a big question before we get into the goal summary. One more question. Do you throw Holtby back in there and say, mop up, you had a really bad game, you're going to do better? Or do you throw Otter in there? Because you can make an argument for both.
No, Otter's played better, so it's got to be Otter. I mean, we have to win the next game. We have to get something out of it. We can't just be like, Holtby will figure it out. We don't have time for him to figure it out. It has to happen now.
Well, I mean, you don't. I mean, throwing Holtby in there wasn't exactly the greatest.
Yeah, I thought that was a dumb decision anyway.
I mean, I understand the logic behind it, but I still don't understand it. When we literally just talked about, Otter,
you understand it. You don't understand it, but you do.
I understand the logic. I just don't like it because Otter has just been lights out. He's been he's been the best Stars goaltender this season, and you don't let him go out against a big game like that,
especially
at least for the first
at home
game,
where he's been best,
where he's been better. Yeah, and then throw Holtby out on the road, and I mean, I don't know. And then now you put yourself in a situation like this where if you're Rick Bowness, you're like, which goaltender do I go with? I mean, Holtby and after a game he's lost really bad, he's been really good the very next game. But then you have Otter, who's been really, really good lately. So you put yourself in a situation like that, and I understand the logic. I just don't like it. And when your number one goaltender is sitting on the bench against the NHL's best team, I just don't understand that.
Yeah.
So.
Well, either way, after that third goal, he deserves to not play the next game. So that's my opinion.
That third goal should have never gone in. against Abe Kubel.
And we still had a chance going into that point. We had a Dallas Stars chance, if you will. Start playing in the last 10 minutes and see what you can do. And that ended that real quick. So
right. I was already thinking about the Super Bowl in the middle of the second period. I'm like, after that third power play we had and nothing came of it, I was just like, okay, this game's over. I still watched it because it's something to do, but still. Anyways, first period. Within the first 5 minutes, Gabriel Landeskog of the Colorado Avalanche, if I can talk, gets his 21st of the year from McKinnon and Makar. Of course, the three big guys for Colorado get it taken care of. And I mean, it was just kind of a really good tip. There's nothing that Holtby could have really done about that. It was a lucky bounce a little bit, and
he could have
Colorado's
been
up 1-0.
positioned better. He was in a bad spot. If you watch it,
I don't think he was in a bad spot.
Go back and watch it. You'll agree with me.
And then second goal, probably about another 6 minutes later, Kadri gets his 20th of the year from Makar, and that was a pretty goal. That was a really pretty goal, although it was really frustrating now that I'm thinking about it. And I didn't even really notice this until they were showing the highlights towards the end of the game like they normally do. But the Stars outnumbered the Colorado Avalanche down there 2-4. And the two guys that scored the goal were there. So so we had the manpower down there, but we just got puck watching because it's Cale Makar.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. The two guys that we let go though was Makar and Kadri. So those are like two of the last people. Well, actually, Avalanche have a lot of those people, so never mind.
Yeah, they have quite a few. And Kadri is having an enormous year.
He's
and
playing
hey,
awesome.
Guess what? He's 32. Jamie Benn, you could do that too if you wanted to. That's the end of the first period pretty much. In the first period, the Stars were just not getting it out of their zone at all. We kind of talked about that a little bit. I thought it was okay. It was okay. I didn't think it was bad. I didn't think it was good. It was just below average, if that was a good way to describe the first period. Is that accurate?
I thought the offense was bad. The defense was okay, I guess, but
so below
I
average.
Guess adding those together is below average. Yeah, sure.
There you go. Going into the second period, it looks boring because nothing happened in the second period, but that's not true because the Stars pushed a little bit. They got their power play chances, but they did absolutely nothing with it on the power play. And we talked about that too. And that was the story of the second period. And at that point, at the end of the second period, we both knew probably that the Stars were not going to win this game.
Yep. The refs had to make their paycheck, so they decided to just call all the penalties in the second only.
Right. And, talking about the power play, was there anything that the Stars were doing or that they could have done better?
Yeah, they were just passing it around above the faceoff dots. Where all the goals are scored, far away from the net. Smart thing to do. Idiotic. Get the puck behind the net, get in front of the net, and make something happen. That's how we score our goals, is in the slot every single time. So I don't know what they were trying to do. We literally had 4 guys above the circle for the majority of all 3 of them.
Well, because one, and this is a microcosm of everything that happened in the game. One, the Colorado Avalanche were pressuring us a lot, and we were not able to handle the pressure from their penalty kill for some strange reason. And then the second thing was, if you're gonna shoot from the point, at least get some traffic in front. Somebody get in front. Jamie. Garyanov is a big dude. Heck, throw Esa Lindell in there for portions of his career. Esa Lindell's been in front of there, and we just didn't see any of that.
And if they're pressuring you like they were, I agree. They had a good penalty kill, was very aggressive. Then that's when you go behind the net and you use the net to your advantage and you stretch them out and make them skate. It seemed like they were just passing it back and forth between 5 feet at the top of the zone, and then Colorado would get it and get a odd man rush on the penalty kill.
Right, and I don't know about what to do about this power play.
Get Klingberg back. That's what you do about it.
Yeah, and I'll go ahead and say it again: inconsistency. That's been the story of this season. 2 really good games followed by a really game. So, anyways, it would go into the third period. Third period, really, the Avalanche are just stretching the clock out. Getting rid of time, and it was a harmless shot from the point that should have never gone in. And Holtby knew it. We knew it. Razor mentioned it that's a puck that should never go in. And Abe Kubel, the former Philadelphia Flyer, gets his 7th of the year from Tyson Jost, and I am Velnichushkin, and that was the end of it. I mean, we already knew the game was over, but that really kind of like shut the door on the Stars' chances for any kind of hope for anything. So that would end the game, and oh wait, they don't even have the empty net goal on here on the NHL
Oh,
app.
they don't. I have it.
Oh, NHL, you messed up. But we kind of already talked about it. It was Landeskog, and it was unassisted. So the score looks bad, but in all reality, it wasn't really that bad until the very end. There was 2-0 for a majority of the game, and
I mean, it was one shot or one lucky thing. Like if that review, if we had gotten lucky and Kemper kicked it into his net, like completely different game. Maybe that gives us life. And just no one decided to do that for us. It was like with all the leadership and age on our team, all the veterans, you think that'd be something that'd be easy to get, is to know how important this game is and find a way to get something going, but nobody decides to do it.
Well, every game at this point for the Dallas Stars is going to be important
but especially against a hard team like this, like you got to show something here.
Now, I'm not so mad about this game because it is the Colorado Avalanche, and they are the best team in the NHL, and I didn't expect to win this game. But you could still look at this game and say, like, we could have done that better, and maybe the score would have been closer, or we could have done that better, or we could have gotten a save here.
Yeah.
Or, I mean, there were just a lot of things that the Stars could have done better that maybe it would have made it a game.
Yeah.
Yes, maybe Colorado still would have won the game, but there were a lot of factors that the Stars did not do in order to make a more favorable outcome for themselves in the game.
Yeah, the frustrating thing is that they sucked, not just that they lost.
Yeah. But, and you know what? I'm going to go ahead and bring this up too, because Troy, I swear you were reading my mind, man. Troy on Facebook, thank you for listening, Troy. Another thing, I hate when they dump and chase. 9 times out of 10, it ends up being a giveaway. Keep possession. It sometimes works against a mediocre team, but not for elite teams like the Avs. Really good point, because the thing is that when you dump and chase, it's great if you get it. But in a game like today where you dump and chase and you don't get it, it's super frustrating because it's like 2 passes and it's out of the zone for the Avs.
And the crazy thing about the Stars using that strategy is that they're the wimpiest team like in the entire league. And that has to do with their age and stuff. But like you have to be aggressive if you're going to dump and chase. You have to jump and then chase, then hit the guy who has the puck, then take the puck from him. Like that's a physical thing.
Aggression. There has to be some aggression.
But our team isn't a physical team, so why are we trying to play like that? Like, Rope Hintz is not a guy who's going to go lay a hit onto a giant defender and steal the puck from him. He does it because that's what he's forced to do in this system. But how much better would he be if we just carried the puck into the zone like he said, like Troy's saying? Like,
well, the thing is about the whole carrying the puck thing. We have players that can do that.
Yeah.
But what it seems to be and what it seems to be from Rick Bowness is that he's scared to turn the puck over in the neutral zone.
And he's just stubborn. I think he's playing his strategy because he wants to play it, and he's not playing the strategy that will work best for the players that he has. He has puck-moving defensemen and quick forwards. He does not have big guys who are going to lay body checks into big defensemen, and he doesn't care. He's going to play the style that he knows how to coach, and it's wrong. It's incorrect.
Well, and if you want to play that kind of style, then put the players together that are like that.
We don't have them. Our checking line is Raffle, Glendening, and Foxa.
Right, but I mean, like
those guys don't hit.
But I mean, I'm talking about Robertson can do it when he wants to. Ben definitely fits into that category of a physical player.
Ben is the only guy. We have
right,
Ben
and you're right. That's exactly my point. That's my point. Is like if you're gonna go that route and you're gonna go that way, then you put the guys together who are going to do that.
But it seems like guys that we would have one line maybe.
Yes, that is exactly my point, Chris, and I'm agreeing with you 100%. But so the whole dump and chase thing just doesn't work for us. I mean, if we turn the puck over more, then fine, great. It seems to be that it doesn't seem to be working. The fact that we're a defensive team now, we're not. I mean, you can look at the stats for the Stars and argue that the Stars are not a defensive team anymore. What are we? a one-line
No
team.
idea.
We are a one-line team
That's true.
with some secondary scoring lately. And we're back to this whole thing of, the Stars don't have an identity right now. And, that was the big thing that made the Stars go that direction. It was when Jim Montgomery figured out, hey, this team could work really well if we played defensively.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe we're at that crossroads where Rick Bowness needs to decide, okay, what is this team?
And that's exactly what I was going to get to. Who makes the identity of the team?
It's the
It's
coach.
the head coach. He's the one who puts in the system. The end.
Well, it's either him or the GM. So whose fault
GM
is
does
it?
not put in the system. GM
doesn't put in the
together.
system, but he does get the players that he wants.
And the players that he has shouldn't be paying dump and chase. And he's not making that decision.
Right. And so, and that's what I'm more frustrated about more than anything is the fact that they just don't seem to have an identity with this team. So, I mean, we've talked about this so much, just the inconsistency, the fact that we're no longer a defensive team. We can't call ourselves a defensive team anymore. It's just
goals
not
against is too high.
That's just not a thing. It's just not a thing. So,
yep. And with that, if they don't get better in the next, 12 games, then this team is done. I mean, that's what's going to happen. It's going to be a big sell and everyone's going to go. So we'll see what happens in the next 12 games if they can figure out what kind of team they want to be, or if the first line will just carry them and we'll be stuck with another 3 to 5 years of mediocre hockey. We'll see.
Well, and the number 16 overall pick in the draft.
Let's do that again.
Do we know when the trade deadline is? Help me out, Chris.
It's like a month.
It's like a month? Okay.
I don't know.
Well, where's James when you need him?
Exactly. We need James.
James is being stupid and doing the responsible thing and working right now. So, but who needs to do that? Okay, but anyways, we are talking about the importance of this next stretch for the Dallas Stars, and it's good that the Stars have a good record against Central Division teams. But I mean, this is one that seems okay, fine. We can push off to the side, but this can't be a typical thing against these top teams, especially if we want to make the playoffs.
Yep. We'll chalk this one up to Super Bowl Sunday and forget about it.
Yep. For the next games, Colorado on Tuesday, Chicago on Friday, Arizona on Sunday. If we don't win the next two games after Colorado, we better win. Winnipeg again on Wednesday after seeing them a couple days ago. Nashville the following day. Buffalo, Los Angeles, Winnipeg again, Minnesota, Nashville. So you're seeing all these divisional matchups coming up soon. And not to mention, you got these games against teams like Los Angeles, who, yes, they're third in their division, but the Pacific Division is really weak, and they need as many points as they can get.
I was about to say, that schedule sounds like a good chance to get a winning streak going. So hopefully that's what happens.
Right. And we'll see how it goes from there. Anything else we need to talk about, Chris? I can't really think of. I think we hit everything that I wanted.
Von Miller's playing in the Super Bowl, and the Rams are going to win.
Okay, so let's get into the Super Bowl, because some people are saying that I'm a traitor because I'm not rooting for Matt Stafford. I love the guy. Sucks that he played for the Lions for a decade and he's finally getting his chance in the Super Bowl. I know he's from Highland Park in Dallas, but I'm going for the Bengals here. I'm rooting for the Bengals, and Chris is shaking his head. Nope. I know. Sorry.
Von Miller is literally the coolest dude who ever existed. So Von Miller,
but you're biased for a specific reason. What is that reason, Chris?
Yes, I'm biased, and it's because he's an Aggie, and he's amazing.
That's exactly right.
He gives Aggies free glasses. He gives so many free things. He gives up the Gigums and the horns downs and all those, and he's amazing. He's gonna get 2 sacks. He's gonna get a fumble recovery, and the Rams are gonna win by 12.
Give me a score though. Give me a score.
A score? Crap. I don't know. I can't do math that fast, dude. 38 to 26.
Favor of the Rams? Okay.
I don't even know if that's a possible score.
Well, I'm going to go with the Bengals. I'm going to say 28-21. So I'm going to go with I'll say 24-21 to make it even more interesting. So they win by a field goal. So each team gets three touchdowns, and the kicker kicks it with 2 seconds left and wins the Super Bowl.
That would be sick.
Bengals.
That would be awesome.
That'd
I'll
be
root
fun.
for
I
that.
wouldn't.
I'll root for that.
Yeah. I just want to see a good game today. That's my only thing, because especially after the Stars game.
And I don't want
it's
it to go to
not fun.
overtime. NFL overtime is terrible.
Yeah, that would really suck to end a Super Bowl like that, wouldn't it?
It happened 2 years ago, I think.
Well,
Tom Brady won a Super Bowl. He just scored one touchdown and it was over. And they're like, "Oh, we won."
crap. What game was it? It was this postseason. That like it was a fantastic game. Both quarterbacks were doing fantastic.
It was the conference, wasn't it?
Was it the Chiefs game?
Yeah, it was the Chiefs and Bills.
And the Bills lost?
Yeah. No,
Yeah,
the Chiefs lost.
The Chiefs
No,
lost?
the Bills lost. You were right.
Yeah, because it was, everyone was like, it felt really bad for Josh Allen because he had a
Yeah.
fantastic game and didn't even get a chance to prove himself in overtime.
Yeah.
NFL fits your overtime.
I still feel really bad about the Cowboys. I stopped watching after
that. Man, it's just Dallas sports. It's just Dallas sports.
Perfectly mediocre, every single team. And we sold Porzingis too. Smart move, Mavs.
Yeah.
Luka doesn't need help.
Oh, but when was he getting help from Porzingis? Porzingis was always hurt.
Well, he's not getting any help now from him.
Awkward silence. Anyways,
I don't know what basketball is. They dribble it and shoot it, and Luka good. That's what I know.
Do you not watch any basketball? How many games have you watched?
Of the Mavs?
Yeah, for the Mavs.
This year?
Yeah.
None.
Really? That bad, huh?
I'll watch highlights. I'll watch Luka go boom. That's sick.
I've seen about 4 or 5 games this year on top of all the crazy hockey games I've been watching. I've been watching hockey like crazy this year. I bought ESPN Plus, and I can pretty much watch any game whenever I want to, other than when it's on TNT. But yeah, so I've got some new favorite players that I've been watching on some of these teams. But
I might have to do that next season. Seems like a good deal.
Yeah. Well, anyways, anything else we need to talk about? I think that's it. We got our Super Bowl predictions, and we'll see how it goes, right?
Yep. I'm going to be studying during the Super Bowl, so please pray for me.
What are you studying?
I am art history, prehistoric art history. I have rocks that vaguely look like things. That's cool. And I'm studying materials and methods. Yeah, if y'all want to know what a slurry wall is, hit me up, bro. I know all about them slurry walls.
Slurry walls.
Yeah.
That sounds extremely fascinating.
You make a wall out of slurry.
I have no idea what that means, but okay. Okay, we're going to call it quits here before we start talking about geology or more art history, before this gets really boring and this turns into like a rock history podcast instead.
Bro, I'll do one of those too. Comment for the Rock History podcast.
Yep. Well, along with Chris, I'm Ryan. This has been the after game review for game number 46. We are back with you guys. We're sorry about the last 2 games, but it's been real busy for all of us. And please make sure you go and follow us on social media. All of our social media accounts are just available for you to follow. We'd appreciate that.
Name tags.
Huh?
Our name tags aren't here.
Yeah, but the bottom of the overlay kind of covers up the name tags and everything. So. Well, you can follow Chris at Chris2Cham. Follow me at StarsBoy12. Follow Starcastic Remarks at StarcasticR. There you go. Does that work?
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, good enough. Okay. And thank you once again to DraftKings for sponsoring us, Miles. And the entire Hockey Podcast Network. Go and use the promo code THPN. I'm sure there will be a lot of people using the promo code today for this Super
Get
Bowl
in your parlays late, boys.
Yep, agreed.
I don't even know if you parlays.
This is getting weird. We're just going to stop it now before it gets any weirder. We'll catch you guys on the flip side. Have a very good afternoon and a good evening. Go Bengals.